All right. I am here with the Pope of Loans, Jeremy Pope. Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So, last time we talked about like people checking your credit score and shopping around different lenders and what that does to affect your credit. But let's
Sure.
talk about like how the credit score is even calculated and why
Okay.
is it important? It's just a measurement of debt, right?
Right. Well, I think too much emphasis is put on the credit scores. It's only one of the many qualifications, but it is the driving force between what program you can qualify for and what the interest rate is. Um, again, don't agree, but there's nothing,
Here we
any of
are.
us can do to change it. It's just the way
Yeah.
it is. So we got to know the rules of the credit game so that we can play the game, so we can win the game. So I can
All I
share
do
some
is win.
rules.
You know that song? All
Yes,
I
I
do
do.
is win. Okay. Anyway, carry on.
um, so 35% of your credit score is tied to your payment history. Okay.
Okay.
The payment history is simply making payments on time. Now, people sometimes freak out and it's like, hey, I paid my credit card 2 days later, 3 days later, 5 days later, 7 days late, whatever. Those are not late payments. Now, the creditor might hit you with a small late fee, but you're not reported to the credit bureaus unless you're 30 days or more late.
Oh,
And
okay.
then at 60 and 90 and 120.
Now
So,
I have a clarifying question. So
yes,
paying the credit card as in paying it in full or paying like a payment on it?
minimum payment.
Minimum
At
payment.
least, at least a minimum payment.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
you don't get reported as like late until you haven't paid at least the minimum payment for 30 days or so past the due date.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
Correct.
That's
So yes,
35%. That's a big chunk.
your credit, your payments due December 1st, and the minimum payment is $30 or the balance is 1,000. You can pay anywhere from 30 to 1,000.
Okay.
But if you pay nothing and it's now December 3rd or January 3rd,
Hmm.
it was due, December 1st, you're getting they're charging you interest. But what's worse is they're hitting your credit score with a late payment, and that can cost you 30, 40, 50, 60 points.
Dang.
It's ugly. Yeah.
That is ugly. Okay. How else is it made up?
The 30% is made up of your balance versus your limit.
Okay.
So it's nothing you have to worry about on mortgages and car loans, installment loans, student loans. Because if you go buy a car for $30,000 and then your balance on your credit is $30,000, it's not like you have a maxed out loan, right?
Okay.
That's how loans work. But
Right.
what this is pertaining to is credit cards. So
Okay.
you have a $10,000 limit on your credit card. If you carry too much of a balance versus your limit, then they start to ding you there.
What if you carry two less? Like, is it possible that your credit limits are too high for what you use?
Um, Meaning, I think what you're meaning is like, isn't it better to have like a $10 balance on your card rather than paid off every month? Is that kind of where you're going with that?
No, you said it was like let's say that you have a $10,000 limit
Okay.
for that, but you only ever spend like $10 a month. Would it be better for you to have like a $3,000 limit?
No, and I've never heard that. I've never seen the impact of that. I wouldn't worry about like not using enough of it. I like the bigger limits because then it's harder to get to those thresholds
Like
where they start hitting you.
what is the
30%.
threshold? Oh,
Yeah. So that's the issue with those $300 Kohl's charge cards. Those are the devil. Okay.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you just charged $90, you're over 30%, and now they're dinging you. You bought a pair of shoes and your credit score just went down, right? So those $5,000 and $10,000 credit limits are good because it's harder to get to those thresholds. So let's use our
That threshold
$10,000
seems
example.
low. So on a $10,000 credit limit, it's like once you're over $3,000, you start getting dinged. But do you get
Yes.
dinged like the instant you're over it, or is it if you being over it for a long period of time?
No, it's credit reports are a snapshot in time, so it could just be really bad timing. What this happens to people that use their credit cards to gain like air miles and points, and then but they pay it off every month. But if the creditor reports
I feel
before
attacked. No, I'm just kidding.
I know you do this for airline points. That's speaking to
Yeah.
you. Be careful, right? But it could catch it when it has a balance, and it doesn't recognize that, like, oh, they're going to pay it off later because they always do. Doesn't do that. It's like, oh, she's
Interesting.
got a $6,000 balance on a $10,000 card because she just booked some big trip, and then you're gonna pay it off, but it caught it at a bad time.
Wow. Okay, so that's 65% of the
Yes.
total. What's the rest?
Okay, so 15% is the length of history. That's just the length of time. So it's kind of unfair to younger people who are trying to build that credit because they just haven't had enough time to have
Yeah,
credit.
right.
But yeah, like if you have two credit cards that have been open 8 months each and that's it, your credit's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be 800.
Okay.
So, if you have a credit card that's been open for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you really don't want to carry a balance on it. Maybe use it once a year, keep it active so they don't close it on you or for you. And then you've got that length of history. As soon as that account closes, your length of history goes away.
Wow. Okay.
And then 10% is a credit mix, which is up for debate. But I think what they want to see is just like, a mortgage and maybe an auto loan or two, a couple credit cards, just like a mix of credit. You know how to manage it. You know what you're doing, kind of signal.
So if somebody comes to you and they want to get a mortgage and they're like on the line because this credit score, like you said, it like helps with what it's going to cost for the loan.
Yeah.
Can you like look at all that and then like say, hey, like how do you know like what to do? You just like.
So what I focus on are the three or the top two, because there isn't really anything I can do about length of history. Like open a card today and call me in 3 years. Like that's not a really good solution. Credit mix, can't really do much there. And inquiries, like can't take away inquiries that were already on the report. So if I focus on payment history and balance versus limit, I'm attacking the two biggest things, which is 65% of your credit score. Right. So the payment history thing is we can, if there's a late payment on credit, we can go to the creditor, kind of beg and plead, hey, like, can you remove this? I've been a good customer, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And then the balance versus limit is something that's really easy to fix. You either go to the company and tries to raise the limit and you don't pay your balance down. So that's kind of like a free bump. Yeah. Your limit goes up, your balance stays the same, your utilization just got better. Right. If they won't raise it, then it's like, okay, can you throw $300 on this, 400, 500, whatever. To
get it below that.
The percentage is down.
So when you're working on your credit and you're looking at it, how long does it take to like kind of refresh?
Refreshes every 30 days, but we do have the ability to do what is called a credit rescore. Okay. It's a little expensive. It kind of depends on the situation. It can be anywhere from $50 to $300-400, but we can force the credit bureaus to update information that they have in about 5 days. Okay. So when it's, this market, the way it is, sometimes it's like, hey, we got to do this. Got to do it now. Yeah. and so we can get you this house.
Do you know anything about like the history of credit score? Like when did it start and what was do you know anything? It'd be
I don't
interesting,
know
right?
that. That's interesting. I don't. I've never
We'll
looked
have to
into
look
that.
at it and see what we find. I think it would be kind of cool, like, because it is like at its, I know we need the credit score, right? Because this is how like
Yes.
people measure, and if we're not going to be paying full cash for everything, this is how a unit of measurement for an investor to say, yes, they're worthy of me lending them money.
Sure.
I have reasonable to believe that I will get it back, right?
Yeah.
But it really is a measure of how well you manage your debt. Because not having any debt makes you have a 0 credit score.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
like, you could have all the money in the world, but if you
Yes.
have a 0 credit score, right?
Yes.
So it's a
I mean,
very,
we're looking at like 4 things, and 3 are borrower related, right?
yeah,
The
that's
one
what I
that
mean. Like,
is the property, right? That doesn't
yeah,
matter anything about you. It's property, right? Then we're looking at income, credit, and assets. You
right,
can make $1 million a year and have $12 million in the bank, and with a 0 credit score, you're limited on your options,
right.
which is insane.
It's insane.
But that's
Here
why
we
we got to know the rules so we can play the game. And
well, especially people like, yeah, I mean, especially if you're trying to buy a house and you're like an independent contractor, you own your own business, like you definitely need to know the rules for that so that you can make sure that you can get a loan. But maybe that's a different video.
yes, I think so. That would be good. Or the history of credit scores. The last thing I kind of want to just touch on in regards to credit scores is it's very common now for credit card companies to provide you your FICO score.
Yeah.
Credit Karma is constantly out there letting you know. The danger with, so those sites are good. I'm not saying they're bad, but those are not mortgage scores. Okay.
Okay.
There are lots of different models that credit models out there, mortgage being one of them. It is the most stringent because we're loaning the biggest amount of money. So car loans, credit cards, they're looking at different models. So if Credit Karma says you're a 750, you might not be a 750 in the mortgage world. It shouldn't be drastically different.
Okay, so I was going to ask you.
Okay. That's kind of
that's interesting. Okay, that made me think of another topic. We should do a purchase appraisals versus refi appraisals.
Oh, well, yeah. It's hard to even call one of them an appraisal at all, but
anyway,
validation of some papers. Yeah.
Something, yes. All right, cool. Well, Jeremy, if people have an interest in finding out if they qualify for buying a home, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
It would be by cell, 513-432-6971. Call, text.
Courier pigeon, whatever. Or they can stop by your office, right?
Yes, sure. Absolutely. We're in downtown Loveland area.
Right on the corner. Can't miss them. Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Jeremy. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Thank you.